Discover the incredible journey of a hidden hero, 30 days that changed everything forever. Caleb Johnson felt it in his bones, something monumental was creeping into the sleepy town of Maplewood, Kansas. The kind of change that could shake the cobwebs from their old-fashioned buildings and send ripples across the dormant fields. He, a mere shadow in a bustling high school, could almost taste the palpable energy in the air, a sensation that promised to alter his life and the town he called home. Little did he know, a letter was about to arrive that would set everything in motion. On an ordinary afternoon, enhanced by the vibrant hues of autumn leaves spiraling down like confetti, an unconventional package landed on their doorstep. Amidst the faded postal markings lay an invitation that glimmered like a lifebuoy in a stormy sea. The whispering wind rustled the paper against the front porch. A local competition, a chance for communities to showcase their potential, came with a staggering grant that could save Caleb's family farm, a place that once nurtured hopes and dreams, now entangled in the suffocating embrace of debt. Caleb's heartbeat accelerated. Hope collided with fear. Could this truly be the answer? But the clock was ticking, a mere 30 days to unlock the opportunity that could secure his family's future hung over him like a dark cloud. He was overwhelmed and knew he couldn't take it on alone. Not now, with his father serving overseas and his mother working 2 jobs. So there he was, a reluctant leader on an electric day, storming the hallways of Maplewood High, summoning kids who had never given him the time of day. "Hey, I need your help." He'd shout, sparking puzzled looks and raised eyebrows. The star athlete, the artist with grand designs, even the dismissive classmates could feel the urgency thrumming from his soul, that raw American desire to stand up and make a difference. Despite the doubts surrounding them, a collective sigh of skepticism from those who felt trapped by their small-town burdens. The pack formed. They met in the old barn, its dusty beams reminiscent of more prosperous days. Caleb shared his vision. "We can do this together," he said, eyes blazing. The diverse assembly of students didn't know each other, yet they shared a flickering bond forged from the impossible hope of change. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As brainstorming collided with reality, Caleb faced disapproval from neighbors who dismissed their ideas. "You kids think these fantasies will work?" they grumbled, hardened expressions lined with disbelief. Moments like these made him question if it was worth it. Late nights brought tears that stained his shirt as doubts clawed at him. Each setback smashed into his resolve, a personal storm brewing inside him just as fierce as the one that darkened the skies above their farm. With each passing day, the urgency grew greater. Caleb was wrestling with his family's future, a home at stake, yes, but also a community's chance at unity. As that thunderstorm approached, ominous and heavy, he realized something. This wasn't just about saving his family, it was about awakening Maplewood from its slumber. And just as he prepared to confront that looming storm, a tantalizing thought echoed through him. Could he truly represent not just the Johnson family, but every face of Maplewood holding on to distant dreams? As he gazed across barren fields, the question lingered, building tension like the charged air before a lightning strike. What lay ahead could change everything forever. The storm surged closer, dark clouds swirling like a tempest bent on punishment. Caleb stood at the edge of the old barn, feeling the weight of every eye upon him. Every skeptical glance from their neighbors seeped into his skin. Was he really the one to change anything? But tonight was different. Tonight, he had decided to show a glimpse of what could be. The barn was alive with energy, the air thick with possibility. As the assembled group dug into plans, pivoting from brainstorming to actionable tasks, Caleb felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. "Let us start with the fundraiser," he declared, voice steady despite the chaos swirling in his mind. "We need something big, something that'll pull the town together, not just for us, but for everyone struggling." He glanced around, eyes capturing each hopeful face. clenching fists that were determined. They agreed to a carnival, a community event that would light up the hearts and pockets of every Maplewood citizen. The thought electrified the group, and they quickly divided into tasks, laughter bubbling like warm cider on a chilly fall day. Yet the warmth hid the frosty grip of doubt tightening around Caleb's heart. As the days rolled on, the challenge loomed larger. Each decision was met with its own set of hurdles. When they sought sponsors, Caleb faced rejection after rejection. "Who do you kids think you are?" a business owner barked, shaking his head in disbelief. The laughter hummed into bitterness, and with each no, Caleb felt his spirit being chipped away. The glow of hope he felt was smothered under layers of worry, but every time he nearly buckled under the pressure, something pulled him back to the barn, the pulse of ideas around him, the earnest faces of his classmates who were all chipping in. One day, as they brainstormed decorations, Caleb shoved his fear aside and turned to the artist, "Mia. You've got the talent. Can we count on you to whip up something stunning for the entrance?" Her smile was electric. "You can count on me. Just watch." And at that moment, the flicker of hope flared once more. Caleb's phone chimed with a new message. His mother, frazzled but determined, sent a picture of stacks of bills piling up on their kitchen table. Fear gripped him, sharp and cold. In that instant, the realization hit him like a punch to the gut: the stakes were higher than he'd let himself acknowledge. The carnival, their lifeline, became his obsession. He pored over spreadsheets, tirelessly contacting local businesses until bleary-eyed from exhaustion. And somehow, the more he leaned into the challenge, the more support trickled in from unexpected places. A local bakery offered to donate pastries, the diner promised hot chocolate. Even the football team, once just a source of intimidation, rallied to offer help setting up games. Yet, as excitement brewed in the wake of newfound support, Caleb couldn't ignore the tightening knot of anxiety in his stomach. What if it was all a facade, standing on flimsy dreams? Could Maplewood really shake off its deep-rooted skepticism? Would the carnival even bring in enough people to make a difference? On the eve before the event, as Caleb stood in the half-dark barn glimmering with fairy lights, he remembered the faces: his family, his classmates, everyone who had rallied around him. The feeling surged like electricity in his veins. Tomorrow would test everything. And as he shut his eyes, whispering silent prayers to the still night, he knew that something was about to change. But the question echoed louder than the wind: the change he sought, would it be the salvation of Maplewood or another heartbreaking disappointment? Just as dawn broke over the horizon, inundating the barn with light, a sudden commotion rang outside. Voices rose in alarm. Caleb's heart leapt into his throat. What now? Was this another setback, or something that could propel them forward? He dashed out into the morning light, pulse racing and heart hammering wildly, ready to face whatever awaited him. Caleb burst through the barn doors, sunlight spilling in like a burst of hope. Outside, a cluster of townsfolk had gathered, their voices a mix of confusion and concern. He squinted, scanning the crowd. Old Mrs. Sullivan, hands trembling as she clutched her cane, looked like she'd seen a ghost. "What is going on?" Caleb asked, pushing through the throng. A tall figure stepped forward: Steve, the sheriff's deputy, his face drawn tight. "Caleb. We found something in the woods. Something strange." "Strange?" Caleb's stomach twisted. He could already feel the town's skepticism creeping back, wrapping around him like an old shroud. "What do you mean?" He needed to know. Steve glanced back, gauging the crowd before taking a deep breath. "There's been an explosion of sorts at Miller's quarry. Smoke's rising. We were told it could be hazardous." A murmur rippled through the crowd, a collective inhalation of fear. "More trouble for our town," someone whispered. Caleb's heart raced. As exciting as the carnival had been, the reality was that Maplewood had always been surrounded by whispers of something darker: a history steeped in failed dreams and quiet tragedies. This could be another weight around their necks. "Did anyone get hurt?" he asked, fearing the answer. "Not yet, but we can't ignore it," Steve replied. We're organizing a cleanup for the carnival tomorrow. Rerouting plans. We need volunteers. Caleb's mind spun. The carnival was supposed to be a fresh start, a glimmering chance for hope. But this? It was a gut punch. If their efforts didn't include addressing whatever was brewing at the quarry, would Maplewood ever fully break free from its past? The details of tomorrow's event faded in the shadow of this new crisis. As he squeezed through the crowd, Caleb caught sight of Mia and the others, their faces taut with uncertainty. "Hey," he called, his voice wavering. "What's happening at the quarry? We need to make a plan." Mia's eyes shone with determination, fueled by a blend of fear and excitement. "If it's dangerous, it's also our chance to show the town we can restore hope. Let's channel our energy into this. It might draw in more crowds for the carnival." Caleb felt the spark ignite again, but uncertainty dimmed the flame. Or it could scare them off. What do we even know? A collective silence gripped them. But Caleb's heart pounded louder than words, his mind racing. It was a delicate balance between safety and opportunity. Maplewood could either collapse further into itself, or rise together in support. As they discussed logistics, an unsettling sense crept into the air. Caleb couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister was lurking. What if there was a reason someone didn't want the quarry disturbed? The thought chilled his resolve. But who could he trust? As if sensing his inner turmoil, Mia squeezed his shoulder. "A little unease can lead to greatness, Caleb. We just need to stick together." And together they would have to face whatever waited at the quarry. Tomorrow, the carnival would reveal not just their efforts but who they were ready to become, their identity, their unity, their bravery. As the group started mobilizing plans, a gut-wrenching scream pierced the air. Everyone halted, breaths catching in their throats. It came from the direction of the quarry. Panic unleashed its grip on the crowd, and Caleb's heart sank further into his chest. What now? He thought, dread settling in. The day had already grown heavy, and it was only morning. Caleb took a breath, fists clenched. He knew the real battle lay ahead, not just for a carnival, but for something larger than himself. Treachery, fear, and the weight of responsibility swirled around him. As footsteps echoed toward the scream, he was left with a chilling question: would this be the moment that changed everything, or would it consume him and the town whole? Caleb's heart pounded in his chest as he broke away from the crowd, moving toward the quarry. The scream hung in the air, thick and raw, injecting a sharp fear into the already tense atmosphere. He pushed through the throng, urgency propelling him forward. "What happened?" he called out, but only startled faces met him. The townsfolk were frozen, eyes wide and glistening with a mixed reflection of fear and curiosity. He caught another glimpse of Steve, who had rushed ahead, determination etched across his features. Steve turned back, urgency flashing in his eyes. "We've got to go now, Caleb. Stay close." Caleb nodded and followed, each step heavy with anticipation. They rounded a bend and hit the clearing by the quarry. Smoke twisted and danced above the jagged rocks, a sulphurous haze that pricked at Caleb's throat. The scene before him unfurled like a nightmare. The ground was scattered with debris, broken planks, charred remnants of equipment, and something else, something darker. A low groan carried on the wind, barely audible above the thick tension. It sent a shiver down Caleb's spine. "What is that?" he whispered, dread curling around his voice. He pointed, and Steve nodded grimly. They moved closer. Shoulders tense, both men cautiously approached a collapsed structure on the edge of the quarry. Their breaths mingled with the acrid air, panic spreading like wildfire through Caleb's veins. "Over there," Steve said, urgency hardening his tone. They leaned over the wreckage, and at that moment, they spotted a figure beneath the rubble, a woman, her face painted with fear and dirt, eyes fluttering open. "Help me!" she gasped, her voice cracking, sending a jolt through Caleb. Trembling hands clawed at the debris, trying to pull herself free but failing, despair etched into her features. Caleb felt a surging wave of instincts kick in. "We need to get her out," he shouted, glancing back at the crowd that had gathered, mouths agape, stunned. "Somebody help." Without hesitation, Mia surged forward, joining them as they pulled at broken beams and twisted metal. "Come on, we can do this." Her voice cut through the fog of fear, her intensity infectious. Others followed suit, rushing to their aid, forming a human chain. Just as the rubble shifted, Caleb caught sight of something glinting beneath the surface, a metallic object, partially buried. It caught the light, a flash of silver under the grime. Intrigued yet wary, he turned his attention back to the woman, who struggled with each passing second. With one final heave, the debris lifted enough for her to scramble free, gasping for air. Relief washed over the group as Caleb and Mia pulled her upright. But no sooner had they freed her than a sudden tremor shook the ground beneath them, a rumble that resonated deep within Caleb's bones. "What was that?" Mia cried, her eyes wide with alarm. Caleb felt the urgency spike again, but before he could respond, smoke began to billow more violently from the quarry. An all-consuming roar erupted from the depths. "We need to get everyone back. Now!" Steve shouted, his voice piercing through the confusion. As the crowd began to retreat, Caleb held the woman tightly, his heart racing. But just as they turned to leave, a shocking realization struck him. The metallic object, oddly familiar, seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, drawing him in against all reason. What had they unearthed? A rumble echoed again, more feral this time, and Caleb felt a cold sweat prickling down his spine. The uncertainty grew like a weight on his chest, dragging him under. "What's happening here?" he wondered, questions swirling in his mind. And what role was he meant to play in this unfolding chaos? With the air thickening with impending doom, he knew they were at a crossroads. The carnival preparations for the next day felt distant and irrelevant now. They had awakened something deep in the earth, and as the shadows lengthened around them, Caleb realized, tomorrow might bring a different kind of spectacle altogether. Caleb's grip on the woman's arm tightened as an eerie silence settled in, the kind that wraps around you like an unwelcome shroud. The crowd surged backward, faces painted with alarm, while he and Mia remained anchored at the crumbling ledge. Above them, layers of smoke billowed into the twilight sky, twisting into grotesque shapes that seemed to watch them. What was that?" the woman rasped, her cracked voice barely breaking the thick tension. "Hang on," Mia said, her eyes darting between Caleb and the quarry. Impulsively, Caleb glanced down again at the metallic object, its surface catching the fading light. He was drawn to it, that strange pulse thrumming like a second heartbeat. "Caleb!" Steve shouted from the edge of the throng, his voice cutting. "We need to get out, now." The urgency in Steve's tone felt like ice in Caleb's veins, yet instinct tugged him toward the metallic glimmer. Leaving it behind felt wrong, like abandoning a clue in a mystery desperate for resolution. "I can't, just don't." Steve's voice thundered, but it was too late. Caleb bent forward, brushing away dirt and debris. The moment his fingers touched the cool metal, a shockwave surged through him. He jerked back, a jolt coursing through his body, as if the thing had a life of its own. "What did you see?" Mia asked, catching her breath, her tone sharp. It's something," Caleb stammered, his pulse racing. He couldn't shake the feeling that whatever this object was, it was crucial. "Caleb, we don't have time to be brave," Mia shouted as the ground rumbled again, more fiercely this time. The tremors shook the earth beneath them, sending thin cracks spiderwebbing through the dusty ground. A chorus of terrified shouts erupted from the crowd. "Run! Over there!" someone screamed, pointing away from the quarry. Caleb felt a moment of panic as the pressure charged the air. "Grab her!" he urged Mia, nodding toward the woman still struggling to stand. But the woman shook her head, her eyes wild with fear. "No. I can't leave," she cried, her nails digging into the ground as if it would anchor her against whatever horror was lurking below. Mia and Caleb exchanged frantic glances. He could feel the weight of decision press heavy above them, choices impossible to ignore. "Please, just trust us," Caleb pleaded. "You're going to die if you don't come with us." That was it, a gut punch of urgency that cut through the chaos. With a deep breath, the woman looked from Caleb to Mia, nodding hesitantly. They pulled her upright, their urgency compelling her to follow as the ground quaked, demanding to be noticed. "You will not believe what's coming," Steve shouted, his eyes pleading as he grabbed Caleb's arm. "Let us go. Now." Suddenly, a deafening roar erupted from the depths of the quarry. A torrent of flames shot upward, illuminating the surrounding woods. Caleb staggered backwards, choking on the acrid smoke that erupted with it. The ground beneath him shuddered violently, and he stumbled, hand grasping the edge of the collapsing quarry. "What the hell is happening?" he cried, as the metallic object rolled into view, awash in flames. The woman gasped, her eyes reflecting fear and awe as flames flickered around them. "We're not safe. Move!" Mia yelled, pulling Caleb towards the retreating townsfolk. But he hesitated, looking back at the shimmering object, now gleaming ominously against the backdrop of horror. "Caleb!" Mia screamed, dragging him forward, yet a part of him remained transfixed. What was he meant to uncover here? He had a choice to make: follow the group, run from the impending danger, or take the risk and see just how deep this darkness went. As they raced away, the danger felt alive, hot on their heels. And from somewhere deep within the cacophony, Caleb couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What secrets had they unleashed? And who or what would be waiting for them when they would face the consequences? The flames danced higher, casting flickering shadows that twisted around Caleb and Mia. Every heartbeat echoed in his ears, matching the frantic thud of the fire-wrecked quarry. He felt Mia's grip squeezing tighter, almost enough to snap him from the trance that had gripped him. "Caleb! We need to move." She pulled him away just as another shockwave rattled the ground, sending rocks tumbling from the ledge above. The woman, still too stunned to grasp what was happening, stumbled as she turned her back on the chaos. "We can't just leave it." Her voice trembled, filled with raw fear. "Not now. We'll come back for it," Mia shouted, her urgency pushing Caleb along. "Are you sure?" Caleb asked, torn. He felt a pull toward the shining object, a stubborn tug that wouldn't he let go. It felt wrong to abandon whatever secrets it held. But the scene behind them was pure horror, a river of fire surging, smoke curling upward like a beast stretching its limbs in the dying light. Frenzied shouts merged with the crackling flames. The townsfolk were scattering, some clumping together while others fled in mad chaos. "Steve! Where are you?" Caleb finally shouted, panic gnawing at his gut. He caught a glimpse of Steve through the haze, desperately waving for them as he pulled a group toward the path that led away from the commotion. They plunged forward, adrenaline making each stumble feel like a battle for survival. Caleb could practically taste the soot in the air. It burned at the back of his throat, stinging his lungs. Each step felt heavy, the weight of the metallic mystery pulling at his thoughts. "Why don't you tell me what it is?" Mia huffed, looking back at him, her breathing ragged. "What do you think it all means?" I don't know. It felt like it was calling to me." He shouted, frustration surfacing. "I felt something when I touched it." Like it had a but before he could finish, a low growl rumbled from behind them. It was unmistakable, sharp, primal. "Caleb! Move!" Mia shouted, her eyes wide as she spied the flickering shapes forming in the smoke. They were not just shadows of escaping townsfolk, something dark was emerging from the flames, something that hunched and twisted in the same way the smoke did. A figure broke free, silhouetted against crimson and gold. Caleb's heart dropped. It was large, far too large for any human. Its eyes glinted with a hellish glow, capturing the dying light of the day as it rose, shifting enclaves of soot and heat. The woman screamed. No question who it was coming for. She turned, stumbling as the creature took a step closer, snatching the very air around them. "Run!" Caleb pulled Mia and the woman forward, pushing past the fear fencing him in. The crowd ahead thinned, like rabbits fleeing a hawk. They had to get away, but the crackling behind them grew louder, and they were not fast enough. The creature let out a roar, a sound that threatened to swallow the world. Caleb's legs burned as they sprinted, but the metallic object he had abandoned nagged at him. What if it could stop this nightmare? Would it hold the key to the darkness unfolding? "Look out!" Mia cried, swinging to avoid the fallen branches. Caleb turned just in time to see the creature lunging. It was huge, shadow swallowing shadow, agile in a way that defied its bulk. With a shriek, it lunged toward them, heat radiating from its fiery breath. They barely dodged, the rush of air overpowering. It swept past them, sending Caleb staggering. "Caleb, we can't keep this up!" Mia shouted, eyes wild. As the creature turned, frustration boiling in his gut, Caleb summoned every ounce of courage. "What do you want?" he yelled. Silence answered, but deep down he could feel the promise of answers lingering in the air. The creature's eyes locked onto Caleb, a wicked glint flashing. There was more at stake here than they realized. As they veered down the path, a revelation gnawed at him. What if that metallic object was a part of this creature? "There's something more here," he murmured, breath hitching. But would they survive long enough to discover the truth? Just then, they rounded a corner and stumbled into a clearing. In the center stood an ancient stone, ornately carved, pulsing with the same ominous glow that had called to Caleb before. "Is this it?" he said breathlessly. But the question hung in the air, unanswered, as the creature descended behind them, ready to take its prize. Could this stone be the solution they desperately needed, or would it seal their fate? The stone seemed alive, emanating an energy that rushed over Caleb like ice water. It pulsed in rhythm with the heavy pounding of his heart, inspiring a strange mix of fear and fascination. The air was thick with smoke and urgency, but before he could think, the creature's low growl reverberated through his bones. "Mia, we need to touch it!" Caleb shouted, his voice laced with desperation. He stepped forward, drawn to the stone's allure, but one glance back at the hissing shadow reminded him there was no time. Now. She hesitated, torn between running for their lives and investigating the source of Caleb's conviction. The woman beside them, wide-eyed and trembling, seemed ready to bolt. The creature was closing in, its form spilling from the shadows, each stride swift and sinister. Caleb felt the heat emanating from it, a suffocating wave that rolled across the clearing. "Caleb, this is insane!" Mia yelled, her anxiety igniting sparks of fear within him. But he stepped further toward the stone, each pulse sinking with his heartbeat. "What if this is what we need? What if it can help us?" As he stretched his hand toward the stone, he felt Mia grab his arm, the grip firm with newfound determination. "Together. We do this together." In that moment, clarity swept over him. He needed to be brave not just for himself, but for everyone nearby. They joined hands, feeling the warmth of each other's pulse before pressing their palms flat against the cool, smooth surface of the ancient stone. A shockwave cascaded through them, and the ground shook as the creature let out an agonizing roar. They both staggered as whispers filled the air, soft and melodic, carrying raw truths that sent a chill down Caleb's spine. The stone began to emit blinding light, swirling around them, illuminating the dark corners of their world. "What is happening?" Mia gasped, eyes wide with incredulity. "I think it wants to share," Caleb began, but the brightness intensified, drowning out his voice. The whispers grew louder, melding into a single, resonant call that seemed to shake the very foundation of reality. The creature haltingly stepped back, its form blurring in the onslaught of light. For a brief, surreal moment, it seemed to be fighting at a distance, as if the stone was pushing it away, protecting them. "Caleb, the object. Do you think maybe it's linked to it?" Mia shouted, her voice strained as she fought through the din in their minds. Through the semi-haze, Caleb's eyes scanned the intricately carved surface. Symbols glowed in rhythm with the light, and with each pulse, images played across his mind. Fragments of a tale long lost, tales of guardians, and those who had become heroes by standing against dark forces. He felt the truth in those stories, a resonance sparking inside him, but before he could speak, the creature bellowed in outrage, sending shockwaves through the ground that toppled them. They tumbled backward, losing their grip on the stone, the connection shattering like glass around them. The light flickered but didn't fully die, lingering in the air like a heartbeat. They scrambled to their feet, breathless with panic, while the creature regained its footing, fury etched into its terrifying features. "We can't let it take this," Caleb yelled, determination hardening his voice. "We have to try again. We need to awaken what it can do." Mia nodded, adrenaline igniting in her eyes. As they prepared to rush toward the stone once more, the ground tremored beneath them, this time more violently. "Caleb! What if it needs something from us?" she shouted, eyes darting to the creature, whose shadow stretched menacingly toward them. Caleb's breath caught in his throat, dread wrapping around his chest. "I don't know what it needs. But we can't fail. We must." Suddenly, the creature lunged, and chaos erupted. Caleb and Mia sprang into action, racing toward the stone as the world spun around them. But answers lingered just out of reach. Was the stone truly their salvation, or the precursor to their doom? As the creature charged, eyes blazing and claws outstretched, they could feel the moment building, a final push in the face of a hellish darkness. Could the light of truth awaken the hero within them, or would they become the next sacrifice in the unfolding terror? Mia's heart raced as they approached the stone again, its iridescent glow pulsating with urgent energy. She could feel it everywhere, winding around her like a vine, squeezing her chest tight. Fear mixed with hope. Would this erratic stone truly save them? "Caleb! We need to focus. What do we need to do?" Mia shouted, barely able to drown out the shrieks reverberating through the night. The creature loomed closer, feral and furious, its growls echoing a primal hunger for vengeance. Caleb's mind raced, mirroring the frantic patterns of the light. "We have to reconnect. It worked before." He felt the invisible bond, the gravity of their shared purpose pulling him toward the stone once more. Together, they reached for it again. But before they could establish contact, the creature lunged forward with furious speed. A scream clawed its way up Mia's throat as she realized they might not make it. The creature's south claws swished dangerously close, and gasps of air turned into shouts of terror. Just then, a flicker of the stone caught Caleb's eyes. Symbols now shimmered brighter, illuminating their frantic faces. The whispers became crystalline clear, insistent and layered. "Together, sacrifice, hero. Caleb." Mia's voice broke through the growing chaos. "What does it say? What do we need to do?" His pulse raced as thoughts coalesced. "I think, it wants us to sacrifice something. To become part of it. We have to channel our strength." "No. Caleb, not your life. Not like that." She grasped his arm, panic overtaking reason. "It's not just me. It's us." His voice was steady, fierce. "We can't let it take more from us. We have to give something, a piece of who we are. It's our only chance." Before he could finish, the creature charged again, claws glinting in the shifting light. They couldn't risk being torn apart. The moment surged, primal and fragile. In synchronized resolve, they pressed their palms against the stone once more. The illumination washed over them like fire and ice, awakening every ghostly whisper that had ever brushed against their souls. Sensations flooded Caleb's mind, flashes of sorrow and joy, hope and regret surged forth as if their pasts blended with the present. Then the weight of despair sank into the pit of his stomach. He felt the pain of a shared history, everyone they had loved, lost, and fought for. Could they transform this torment into something greater? Mia gripped his hand tighter, fastening a bond that felt ethereal. "We can do this. Together." She yelled over the howling winds of chaos. But the creature wasn't done. It roared louder than ever before, slashing through the air, its weight crashing back toward them. Just as it reached for their throats, a blinding flash erupted from the stone they were drowning in brilliance. Time stopped. The darkness fused with light, and Caleb felt the unseen force wrap around them like an embrace, pulling them deeper as they surrendered what they feared losing most, their deepest insecurities. The energy surged, twisting like wildfire, carrying fear and desperation away, transforming them into shimmering threads of purpose. The creature paused, its furious expression faltering as the overwhelming light enveloped the clearing. An ear-piercing shriek erupted, but this time, it was different. It carried a hint of fear. Then, as abruptly as it started, everything silenced. Caleb opened his eyes, suddenly aware of a dense stillness. The air felt different, charged with an electricity he had never before experienced. Mia took a step back, eyes wide, scanning the void where the creature had stood. What just happened? Her breath faltered. Are we safe? Caleb couldn't process it, adrenaline still blazing through his veins, but deep in his core, he felt the remnants of their sacrifice swirling in the air around them, whispering promises of strength and truth. What had they awakened? As shadows flickered in the distance, a figure began to take shape. Was it friend or foe? The night had transformed, but so had they. With a mix of dread and wonder, they braced for the next encounter, unsure of what awaited them but greedily hungry for one more revelation. The real battle had only just begun. Mia squinted against the lingering glow from the stone, the aftershocks of their connection pulsing in the air. The figure emerging from the shadows rippled like heat rising off asphalt, shape-shifting and uncertain. Who are you? She called out, voice shaky but determined. You've ignited something profound, the figure replied, its voice smooth yet echoing. Each word sent shivers through the night air. I am the keeper of the light. A flicker of recognition lit Caleb's eyes. The keeper. Is that what the stone awakened? The figure nodded solemnly, his face emerging from the shadows a blend of age and youth, woven together in every wrinkle and curve, as if crafted from both past and present. The stone holds the power to bridge realities, he explained. But only those willing to confront their fears can harness its true potential. Caleb exchanged a glance with Mia. Had they truly unleashed something bigger than themselves? Then we did it, he breathed, a flicker of hope igniting within him. But as soon as the thought entered his mind, doubt clawed its way back. What if we didn't do enough? What if no, you've done plenty, the keeper interrupted, his gaze piercing. Yet, the creature you faced was merely a harbinger of darker things. It's a sentinel, ensuring nothing breaches the realm it guards. Mia shuddered as she recalled the creature's wrath and fury. So it wasn't just anger, it was protecting something. Yes, the keeper confirmed. You've awakened a force, but in doing so, you've set off a chain of events. The darkness is rising, and more will come to claim what you've started. Caleb's chest tightened with a new kind of fear. What are we supposed to do now? We don't even know what we're really up against. The keeper stepped forward, and the woodsy scent of nature mixed with something otherworldly enveloped them. You must prepare. The bond you formed with the stone will be your greatest weapon, but it requires guidance. You need to learn how to channel that power effectively. Mia felt a rush of urgency swelling within her. Teach us, she pressed. We can't just sit here waiting for whatever is coming. The keeper's expression softened. Very well. There's much to uncover. Each lesson will draw you closer to understanding not only the stone's essence but also the shadows looming on the horizon. A chilling breeze swept through the clearing, and shadows crept closer, stretching toward them like dark fingers grasping for lost light. The keeper raised a hand, and a glimmer radiated from his fingertips, forming a barrier around the three of them. Time is not on your side. You must embark on this journey immediately, he declared, urgency dripping from his tone. Your courage will be tested. The ground beneath them began to shimmer, reshaping into a winding path leading deeper into the forest. With a determined nod, Caleb squeezed Mia's hand, and they stepped forward, heartbeats synchronized, two souls ready to brave whatever awaited them. As they ventured into the untamed woods, the air grew thick with anticipation. They were moving toward answers, but at what cost? Behind them, the Keeper's voice echoed, lost in the cool night air. Remember, every sacrifice shapes the future. Suddenly, a low rumble split the silence, shaking the very ground they walked upon. The shadows grew closer, swirling ominously around them. Mia's stomach sank. "This is just the beginning," she whispered, a chill creeping down her spine, but before she could finish her thought, piercing screams broke the tranquility of the night again, cruel and haunting. What had they truly awakened? And could they muster the strength to face it all? Caleb stood at the precipice of something monumental, sweat dampening his brow as he gripped Mia's hand tighter. The wind carried whispers around them, tangled messages that reached into the depths of their souls. Whatever had been unleashed at the quarry stirred restlessly, shadows thickening, clawing for the light that shimmered around the keeper. "Stay close," Caleb urged as they positioned themselves at the center of a whirlwind of uncertainty. The air felt electric, crackling with potential and danger, darkness creeping back into view as ominous shapes stirred beyond the trees. They had unlocked a force like no other, a pathway toward victory, but one burdened with the gravity of sacrifice. Each step deeper into the woods brought fresh resolve, but fear lurked at the edges of their minds. What awaited them at the end of this journey? "Caleb," Mia whispered, shaking slightly, "what if we're not strong enough?" He turned to her, his heart pounding against his ribcage. "If we stick together, we can face whatever comes. Remember the night at the quarry? We've already faced the worst and survived." Her eyes locked onto his, searching for affirmation. "We did something incredible." "But what if?" "Stop," he interrupted, squeezing her hand to lend strength. "We can't doubt now. We have to keep moving forward." As their surroundings shifted, the woods transformed into a luminescent maze that swirled with shadows. Shapes flickered, darting around, and Caleb sensed the darkness closing in. They had stirred something powerful, not just memories resonating through the winds but entities hungry for the light they carried within. Suddenly, a blaring howl echoed through the air, rattling their resolve. It sent them hurtling forward, urgency propelling them over gnarled roots and through tangled underbrush. "This way!" The Keeper's voice boomed, guiding them through the chaos. The trio broke through to a clearing illuminated by the moon. In the center rested a massive stone pedestal, adorned with carvings that shimmered like freshly fallen snow. The stone pulsed softly, resonating with their heartbeat, connecting them to their purpose. "This is where you must learn to wield the power of the stone," the Keeper declared, motioning them closer. "The shadows are alive, seeking vengeance. They will not wait to reclaim what is theirs." Caleb exchanged glances with Mia, the weight of the world resting on their shoulders. "We know what we need to do," he said, stepping forward. The air shifted as he placed his palm against the stone's cool surface, feeling the energy surge through him. "We need to awaken its full potential. We need to stop what's coming." Moments ticked by, stretching into eternity, as he focused on the raw power flowing through him. Memories of their friends preparing for the carnival, the laughter echoing from the barn, ignited a flame in his heart. "Together," he whispered, his voice steady with certainty. Mia moved beside him, placing her palm next to his. They pressed down harder, eyes locked on the glowing symbols that resumed their rhythm. "We can channel everything we've faced, the fear, the pain, the hope. Let it flow." As light erupted, enveloping them like a cocoon, Caleb felt the shadows recoil. They rose together, drawing strength from their unity, illuminating the clearing with an incandescent brilliance that pushed away the dark. The whispers of despair faded, replaced with a fervent roar as if the very essence of hope was fighting back. The Keeper watched intently, his eyes reflecting pride. "This is your moment." But just as the energy reached its apex, a resounding quake echoed from somewhere beyond, splitting the earth beneath them. "Hold on!" Caleb shouted, trying to stabilize his footing. Darkness surged, lashing out, fierce and relentless, seeking to swallow them whole. A monstrous figure lunged into view, a silhouette draped in shadows, claws glistening with malice. Panic surged through Mia, and Caleb steeled his resolve, sinking deeper into the pulse of the stone. "Focus!" he yelled, pouring every ounce of bravery into their bond. The stone reacted, light coiling and spiraling like tendrils of fire and ice, ready to explode forth. As the creature unleashed its wrath, they unleashed their power, striking at the very heart of the darkness together. It was a dance between hope and despair, light and shadow, but they wouldn't be consumed, their energies connected, surging through the air in cascading waves, sparking new life into the depths of despair. The shadows writhed, the creature shrieking, as the pure essence of everything they were, and everything they fought for, ignited into a radiant storm. "Now!" Caleb barked, his heart racing. "Together! We end this!" With one final surge, they launched the intertwined light toward the creature, illuminating the whole clearing in a blistering glow. Moments stretched, the beast howling in fury as it disintegrated into shimmering particles, dispersing like smoke through the night, but silence fell suddenly, no echoes of victory. What loomed beyond the shadows still stirred restlessly, a reminder that peace was fragile at best. Caleb and Mia stood panting, eyes wide, as they absorbed the transformation. The keeper nodded, a knowing look in his eyes. "You've opened a door, but it is up to you to keep it closed. Shadows will always exist, but your light now has the strength to protect this world." Caleb felt the weight of their journey settle around him like armor, exhaustion residue laced with triumph. "We'll carry the light," he vowed, staring deep into Mia's eyes, the bond forged anew. "Together," she echoed, their fingers entwined. As they turned to face the path leading back into their world, Caleb could hear the soft hum of the stone, a reminder that every choice mattered. Reality shimmered around them, and though shadows might always linger at the edges, they had the strength to light the way forward. Their journey was only just beginning, but they were ready. Now, if you're feeling the energy from this incredible journey, listen up. This is your moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now, keep the algorithms fired up. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about this ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel, so let us go. Let us keep this momentum rolling.